Smoky eye sociopath JD Vance went to visit the Pope. Surprise, surprise. A few hours later, the Pope is dead. And the Pope was somebody who caused a lot of controversy in the Catholic Church because he calls for compassion. He calls for standing with the marginalized. And a lot of conservative Catholics thought that he was too liberal, and I'd hate for them to hear about the central character of their religion, Jesus. But JD Vance decided he was going to send out a tweet this weekend, and Elon Musk Grok corrected him. Let's go ahead and put this up. JD Vance says, "Happy Easter." Patriot Take says, "Your administration would have deported Jesus." And then somebody asked Grok, and Grok is Elon Musk's AI on Twitter. In your estimation, is this true that this administration likely would have deported Jesus? Elon Musk's artificial intelligence said, given the strict 2025 U.S. immigration policies under President Trump, it seems likely that Jesus, if undocumented, would face deportation. Policies prioritize removing undocumented immigrants with over 32,000 arrests in 50 days, including refugees. As a Middle Eastern refugee, Jesus could be targeted despite being peaceful, et cetera, et cetera. Pumps, what's your take on that?
Well, here's what the Trump administration fails to do, and that's determine that who they are deporting is a criminal, deporting people without due process. So because Jesus would be brown, according to the Bible, I think he absolutely would have been deported. And do you think that Donald Trump would give a shit? No, they do not care. If you're brown, peace out.
And I just want to point out that, it's amazing with all this AI, and AI is, founded in Silicon Valley. And all of these oligarchs went and gave $1 million to Donald Trump. So many of their followers could very easily fact check things via AI. And Grok does this all over Twitter and disproves all of the propaganda, misinformation, and disinformation that is propagandized on the platform. But MAGA, of course, doesn't care. But I thought this was really interesting. A lot of people in the far right Christian world really struggle with Trump's moral duplicity. And let's put up this video from a MAGA pastor describing Trump's Christianity.
One who has researched a lot about Donald Trump, met Donald Trump, and tried to understand his relationship to Christianity. I do believe that he's a believer. Like someone said, he's a baby Christian. He's known to use bad language sometimes. He's not particularly devout, but I believe that he prays.
He's a baby Christian, you guys. He's a baby Christian. And they got that one adjective correct. Baby. Yeah. This man is the biggest titty baby whiner crying. But one thing that Donald Trump has done has exposed the far right political movement of Christian nationalism for being the breathtaking hypocrites that those of us that live in the Bible Belt have always known for them to be.
Interesting that Trump, who has never been religious, who called it 2 Corinthians because he knows nothing about the Bible. All these Christians are hanging on to him for dear life. And it's obvious to me it's because they like hypocrisy. And more importantly, they like cruelty. They don't want to welcome people. They want to be the patriarchy that controls everything. And Donald Trump is the perfect person for that.
Well, and he hates who they hate. And Christian nationalism's anchor, its roots are in the South, and that's where slavery was born, and they've had a hard time giving up the Confederate flag. They've had a very difficult time giving up racism, and if anybody knows far-right Christians in the Bible Belt, 100% of the time, they're racist. All right, next up, we have Donald Trump with his Easter message. Go ahead and put this up. Happy Easter to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting and scheming so hard to bring murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, the mentally insane, and well-known MS-13 gang members and wife beaters back into our country. You know, and then he goes on and on with all this crazy unhinged that I'm not even going to read. But it sounds like in that first sentence that he's describing his cabinet. And if you look at Pete Hegseth, this guy is a white supremacist gang member. He has all the tattoos that support it. He's a sexual abuser. Trump himself is a sexual abuser. It sounds like when they are describing these undocumented immigrants that they want to kidnap, it's not deport. They're kidnapping them and sending them to a concentration camp. You know, and talking about Easter and rebirth and religion and all this stuff, to me, it sounds like he's describing himself in his cabinet.
I completely agree. And I thought if the projection is unbelievable, but let's remember it was Trump that brought back the Tate brothers into the United States.
Oh, yeah.
And I look at what he's writing. None of it is true, but he is trying to position that the left is for all these criminal illegals without proving these are criminals. And that tells me the convicted felon that he is, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about due process. He wants to own the libs. He wants to talk about himself. I mean, he goes on his Easter message and talks about poor me. The judges aren't doing what I want. The radical left, go fuck yourself. You are such a titty baby.
And this type of, this tweet is just full-blown propaganda.
Yep.
And he feeds it to his very racist, very white Christian base that traffics in hardcore right-wing news, propaganda news like Fox and all of those other dipshit podcasters. And it's just so amazing to me that millions of Americans would believe that anybody that's a Democrat or open-minded or progressive wants rapists and criminals in the country, where the truth of the matter is MAGA voters want rapists and criminals to run the country. That is the projection there. That is where the propaganda is. We don't want rapists or criminals to not have due process. We want them to have due process, but we want them to have their day in court. And that's what we were heading towards with Donald Trump before his friends at the Supreme Court made sure that now we're all in this mess and we're destabilizing everything in the world. Next up, let's move on and discuss MAGA Christian values. Put up the, this is just a quick reminder that Trump has 5 kids with 3 women and he cheated on. And Pete Hegseth has 7 kids with 3 women that he cheated on. Elon Musk has 13 kids with 4 women he cheated on. And Matt Gaetz paid underage girls for sex. Family values my ass. Moving along, the Pope, before his death, wanted to make sure that JD Vance was lectured on compassion. Put this up. Pope Francis skipped the Vatican's official meeting with Vice President JD Vance, sent his number 2 to give the Vice President a lecture on compassion, according to the Vatican statement. This Pope particularly spoke about immigrants. He spoke about the rights of the marginalized. Later on, he decided to give JD Vance a quick photo shoot. And let's put up this image right now. So there's the Pope right before he died with a smoky-eyed JD Vance across from him. And I'm just saying, I think being around fascists, if you are in poor health, could be very detrimental to your health, because I know what it's done to me. Right. And I'm not on life support with oxygen. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not one of these people that believes in weird coincidences or what have you, magical thinking, but that sure is kind of... seems like JD Vance might have killed him.
It's a little suspect. I do think that the Pope, when he sent his number 2, I think it was very pointed to talk about compassion and talking about if you have contempt for all these immigrants, what does that say about you and your faith? And I think a lot of these MAGA people that were celebrating Jesus's birth should look in the mirror and see how they're treating people and the cruelty that they are pushing on people because of the color of their skin. It's gross.
It really is. It's amazing when you live in the Bible Belt and the most devout people that I know that speak so openly about their faith. You can't have more than a 5-minute conversation. And these are the people that feast on cruelty all of the time. And there is a direct link between MAGA and this Christian nationalism and this appetite for cruelty and nastiness. And then they try to faith wash it by doing a photo op with the Pope. And, within the Catholic religion, there's been a whole lot of controversy about this Pope and him speaking out about immigration and showing people compassion. And the right wing know that they have a compassion problem. They have an empathy problem. And that's why Elon Musk says that empathy is the enemy of Western democracies. And here's something that I just thought was interesting. Fox propaganda entertainment television. They covered Vladimir Putin going to his Easter service. And I want to remind you all that this is a type of propaganda and this is a type of gaslighting. Vladimir Putin started a war and has killed tens of thousands of people. He kidnaps Ukrainian kids. He kills opponents, Alexander Navalny. He kills off oligarchs that threaten his power. This man is evil and diabolical to his core. But in MAGA world, if JD Vance goes and sits down with the Pope, they go, oh, they're close to God.
Right.
If Vladimir Putin goes to an Easter service, it's like, oh, let's cover this so that we can hoodwink the rubes. And this is intellectually dishonest, spiritually dishonest, psychologically dishonest. And here's what pisses me off. There is always this deference given to people that claim to be religious. There's a deference that everybody gives this person. Oh, we're going to run over here and we're going to give this person deference. But we're not going to stand up and say, what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is immoral. What you're doing is the opposite of social justice, of equality. And you can dress it up all you want to, and you can pretend to be religious, but your actions are antithetical to that.
Very rarely am I shocked by Fox News because it is such a propaganda network, but putting Putin going to Easter services, trying to normalize a murderous dictator in the United States was a low that I could not wrap my head around that they went. Because you know that all this propaganda from Putin and the right wing, Putin is just like us. He's our friend. That's what they're showing here. And they are normalizing a murderous dictator. And my guess it's because they know he controls the White House. But this was a low, low bar even for Fox News.
Yeah, but we always have to remember, like right now, Fox News is trying to normalize a man, Donald Trump and JD Vance, who are kidnapping people and sending them to a concentration camp. So there is no low at Fox News, and Fox News is a profit-driven propaganda machine that exploits people that like to traffic in cruelty, that are religiously damaged, that need a lot of psychotherapy. And instead of seeking help, they go and feed their hate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And everybody excuses it as long as the person says they're religious. There is this enabling to this religious patriarchy that continues to keep this machine going. And it is a cancer, and it is at the epicenter of the American problem right now. Okay, we're trying to get to 1 million subs. Please subscribe. We'll see you all later.